Hello, everybody. I just wanted to have a mic check, and hopefully the sound is good. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, Henry Mann, and good morning, Jean Pierce, and good morning, Gio. So let's see. It's about 20. Let's wait a bit till everybody comes on board here. And basically, what I wanted to talk about today is moving to the Philippines, preparing for the move, and I have some different things I'd like to cover, but good morning, Jasper, and good morning, GI 121 from Ohio. Good morning, John. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So a few things that I wanted to cover this morning is how to prepare to move to the Philippines. So before moving, one thing that I almost bit me in the ass once was my passport. I had less than 6 months left on my passport, and they wouldn't let me get on the plane. Luckily, I had my British passport with me, and I could use that, so I used that. But so you have to have more than 6 months available on your passport. So if your passport is expiring in a year or two, and you know you're going to be staying here, it's just as well to go ahead and renew, so you don't have the hassle while you're here. Okay. And so let's see, Mr. Ron is here. Good morning, Mr. Ron. Knew I came when you get there, taste it all. Don't fall in love too fast. You'll have more fun. Yes, a lot of good fruit over here. Hi, Tim from Central Florida. Let's see. I'm from Albert. Good morning, Albert. And the world's closed. I send my passport for renewal Monday. Good stuff, Win Duncan. The other thing is look at your driver's license and when it's expiring. If it's expiring too soon, again, it's just one of those things you want your date set out as far as possible, so you don't have to have that hassle and all that things you have to do. So get your passport, driver's license in order. And the other thing that is probably good to do is to have a comprehensive medical check before you leave, 3 to 6 months before leaving. Just make sure everything is in order, like the blood test, your calcium buildup in your arteries and all that kind of testing. So everything is good before you come over here, so there are no issues. Good morning, Mike from the UK. And good morning, David from Flowery Branch in Georgia. So then also, like I was talking about, the medical check is important. But with that said, besides the medical check, I've seen some expats come over here and they seem to be in bad health. They're maybe overweight, they have a hard time breathing. So it's just, I would suggest start eating healthy, start exercising, get motivated to do that, because when you want to come here, you want to be able to travel, you want to be able to go hiking and do all the good stuff that's available here in the Philippines. And if you're a bit in bad health, it gets harder. My fourth point here is get an international health insurance. There are many available, and I'll put a link to one below after the livecast is done. The other thing to consider, one second, guys. I just remembered I forgot something. Just hold on, guys. Got to get this done real quick here. Let's see. Okay, done. So where was I? Yeah, health insurance. With health insurance comes medicine. Now, many people that come here are older and they're typically on some type of medication. Consider getting like a 6 month supply of medication when you come here. So also with that, you have to have their prescription. So in case they stop you, you can show the prescription to the guys. And if they ask why you got 6 months, if you're just coming for 1 month, tell them you plan to travel around Southeast Asia. So that's not a problem. And then there is, let's see, let me read some of the comments before going on. Scott, he says he's blessed to have a UK passport. I have UK and American, so I guess I'm doubly blessed. G123 says, or 121 says, never thought about my driver's license. Thank you. No problem. That's why you guys have us. Ciao, Paul. Hello, Jenny de Morena. Hello, Freeman. Let's see. All I would bring are the papers. I need a couple of changes of clothes, money, and my credit card. Anything I need, I would purchase there. Make the trip back a lot easier. Yeah, true. But when it comes to, I didn't cover that yet, but when it comes to credit cards, what I did when I came here, I had 2 different credit cards and 2 ATM cards because I'm always worried I'm going to lose an ATM card or I'll be denied for some reason. So that way I have 2 different banks. And if something happens with one bank for some reason, I have the other bank so I can still withdraw money. So that's something to think about. And also, if you're traveling, never have your credit cards. If you have like 2 different credit cards, never have them in the same place, have them in different places. And I keep always 1 credit card and 1 ATM card at home. And sometimes I bring my ATM card in my wallet when I'm going around, but I tend to leave it at home because unless I'm planning to take out money, because you can easily lose your wallet, then you lose your ATM, and it's such a hassle to get a new one when you're abroad. Jasper says, Paul, I think every country is different in this matter, but is there a maximum time you can stay away from your own country without losing residency? Well, if you're a citizen in a country, you can stay away as long as you want. But if you're a green card holder, you mean like in the US? I think there's a maximum, but I'm not sure what that is. It's been I became naturalized US citizen in 2004, and I did have a green card before that, but I don't remember the specifics of how long you could be out of the country, but it was, I know it's got to be at least a year. Hello, Tyrone. How are you? Scott says, also important to know you USA have to pay upfront in Phil's hospitals, even with insurance. You're saying even with insurance, you have to pay upfront in the Philippines? I don't know if that's right. I think you just have to show them that you have insurance, right? As far as I know. But I know if you have insurance, they'll let you in straight away without, if you're in bad shape. But hey, guys, okay. So I'm going to go on a bit more on my points here, and then we can discuss them all. So where was I? Health insurance. So get your banks and brokers in order. For example, for me, I found a bank which was also a broker, which was Charles Schwab, and I really enjoy using Charles Schwab. I've had Fidelity, I've had Charles Schwab, I've had E-Trade, and many others, and it's just, to me, I've found Charles Schwab the easiest to use and most convenient, and the fees are minimal. So I really enjoy Charles Schwab, and you can withdraw from ATMs, and they'll reimburse your ATM fees, and the transaction is actually charged at whatever the exchange rate is when you withdraw. So they don't earn extra money by giving you a worse exchange rate. So that's great. Also with Charles Schwab, you can do planning, like retirement planning and all that. But I also use, on top of that, I use another which is called personal capital. But I believe you have to be in the US to open personal capital and Schwab. So this is stuff you need to get in order before you come here. So the thing I like about personal capital that has a great overview, like I've had multiple brokers and banks, and that way I can see an overview of everything withdrawn. It shows you your international stock, your domestic stock, your REITs and everything. It shows how it's all set up. And it's a great way to keep an overview over your investments, and also has planning tools like your retirement based on certain criteria. How much can you expect to withdraw for X amount of years before you draw down to zero? And what are the probabilities of reaching that goal? So it's a great tool, personal capital, and Schwab is a great broker / bank. So those are two that I recommend. And I would suggest getting all your banking stuff in order before you get here. Also, security is very important. To me, I'm very secure aware. So I've got two-step verification on everything. Everything that I do online has two-step verification. And the two-step verification that I prefer is like the Google Authenticator. Now, like Charles Schwab doesn't use Google Authenticator. It uses, what's it called again? I forgot the name of it. It's called VIP Access. I think it's by Symantec. So, but you'll see that when you sign up with Charles Schwab, how you can do all that. So that's also great because no one can access your bags, even if they are able to guess your password and username and all that. As long as you got your phone with you, they can't access it. So that's a great way to secure yourself. Also, another way that is important that I found here is to get a VPN, because with a VPN, you can access a lot of US websites that are restricted, or they might not be restricted, but there's less of what you can see. And like Netflix, for example, if you have VPN and you log on to Netflix, there's a lot more shows than if you log in from a Philippine website. So, or you have a Philippine IP. And I believe like HBO and Walt Disney, you can't even sign up for if you're in the Philippines. So a good VPN is good. I use NordVPN, and there's some other good ones out there, and they're relatively cheap. You're talking about $100 a year or so not that expensive. So that's also when you're outside and on a local Wi-Fi, go on a VPN if you're going to do anything like banking or anything at all, because if you're VPN, you're double secured again. So I'll read some more comments before going on. Joachim, how much money should someone have saved in the bank for emergencies? I've always said about 25,000. 25,000 will get you back to the US. If you need to get back to the US, will get you a considerable hospital stay here. But 25,000 US dollars, yeah, that's what I would suggest. So, is there plenty of fresh vegetables available there with variety and cheapness? Yes, you can get all kinds of vegetables here. I mean, Philippines, it seems you throw a seed outside and it just grows. So yeah, plenty of vegetables and different types of fruits. In the US, there's actually more variety because they import a lot of stuff from Mexico and other places. So, but there's plenty of fresh stuff here. Anytime says, good day, Paul, from the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia. I really enjoy your videos and keep up the good work. Thanks. And I will. Scott Fifi, there is an expat in Cebu who got knocked out recently. He's in a coma in a hospital and unable to pay or even speak, and his family back in Australia is raising donations. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot here. Well, not people getting knocked out, but if people end up in hospital, I've seen where they start a GoFundMe account, and I just think, I understand it if they don't have money, but I think you should have your economy in order before coming out here. Number one, you shouldn't rely on other people's kindness. You should rely on your own hard work and dedication and pay your own bills. But if you do go to a GoFundMe also, it's not sure that you'll be able to raise what you need, because there's so many people on GoFundMe. When it first started, yeah, people would give, but now there's so many people that I think it's hard to raise money. So always rely on yourself and save your money and have a backup plan, or 2-3 different backup plans actually. Hello, Paul and Mia from Albert. Hello, Albert. How are you? I've read from several, Scott 56 says, I've read from several different sources, you usually have to pay upfront in the Philippines, even with insurance, then get reimbursed by your insurance later. Okay, but I think they will actually do the operation and do everything. Well, if you're in there without any insurance and any way of paying, you'll just be in a corridor. They might not do anything. But, I'm not 100% sure about that, but that's kind of what I've heard. But Gio is going to be joining us later, and I'll ask his opinion on that. Actually, I think he's joining us any minute now. Let me text him and see where he's at, man. Okay. He'll be joining us soon. There's a Chase Bank in Manila, and I deal with Chase here in the States. Okay. Yeah, I have Chase myself, actually, but I found Chase has higher fees. Like I had a wire that came in, international wire, and they charged $15. Now that wire was only $100, but that's like 15%. that's kind of ridiculous. While I asked Charles Schwab if they charge anything for incoming international wires, and they said no, there's zero charged on that. So there you go. There is a difference in fees and transaction fees and international rates and all that. And I found Charles Schwab to be better, even though I still have Chase, because like I said, I like to have a second backup in case something happens. Okay. Gio is joining us. Good morning, Gio.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good
So
deal.
we're talking about how to prepare to move here. And one of the questions that came up was actually about health insurance. And I know you've been involved in that a lot more than I have. And someone was saying, even with health insurance, you have to pay cash up front. Is that true? I thought that wasn't true, but maybe you can.
Not totally true, but I have some experience in that. It depends on your insurance. Now, if you have an international insurance, typically it takes a while for the insurance to pay out to the hospital. So usually it's going to be a reimbursement. So you're probably going to have to pay up front. But if you have a Philippines-based health insurance, because when I first got here, I worked here, so I had Philippines health insurance, and I went into the ER one time with when I ripped my knee open on coral when I was scuba diving, and they just took care of it. The insurance, they called the insurance. But here's the funny thing about it is, they said initially they said, "Oh, we can't. We've tried calling the insurance and we can't get hold of them. So you'll have to pay up front, and then we can have it reimbursed, or they can reimburse you later." I was like, just because you can't get them on the phone, I was like, just keep trying, and so they called a little bit more, and like an hour later they got hold of them and they paid.
But like if you're in an accident, let's say, and you're knocked out, and there's no way you can come to, but if you have health insurance, right, and someone's with you and they show the health insurance, they're probably going to operate on you, versus if you don't have anything, no cash, no health insurance. Or will they have to call the insurance company before doing anything at all? Is that the way they do it?
Here's the thing is unfortunately the Philippines, they are not uniform on anything. So what they might do for you at one hospital may not be true at another hospital. I mean, you've experienced that, right? I mean, so unfortunately, there's just nothing uniform here. And so I have a friend who was at the best hospital in Cebu with his motorcycle accident. And I don't know, I think I told you the story that he was having money wired to him to pay for the room and the last surgery that he had done. Now they did do the surgery and then were wanting payment. However, in the meantime, while he was waiting for his money to come, they pushed him into the hallway out of his room because he hadn't paid the room yet. So it's more fun in the Philippines now. Typically, with a foreigner, they expect that they're probably going to get paid. So they, he even left the Philippines still owing money. He had to sign some kind of IOU type thing, but. And yes, they do. I just saw a comment. They do take credit cards. That's how he was paying his hospital bills, pretty much on his credit card. So that goes back to when you first move out here. Some people just let their credit go, and I think that's a mistake. Like they just stop paying on bills. Oh, I've moved out to the Philippines. No need to pay on anything anymore.
I have 2 credit cards and 2 ATM cards because I'm always worried I'm going to lose one or the other. So.
Right, and as
so you're suggesting basically make sure you have a credit card in your wallet in case something happens, and health insurance on top. That's what you're recommending, right?
Right. Well, I in particular, I personally like the travel insurance. It comes with some extra stuff, and I like to be able to, okay, if I go to Thailand for a month or I go to Malaysia for 2 weeks, it's covering me, and I don't have to worry about a specific health insurance. It just covers one country, but.
Now, with travel insurance, does it have a time frame? Like, because it's travel, can you only be in the Philippines for, let's say, 6 months or 1 year, and then that travel insurance expires? Or you can be anywhere in the world, I think usually as long as you're not in the U.S. So you can be 3 years in the Philippines, and that travel insurance would still be good as long as you're paying it, obviously. Is that
you can turn it into just a regular monthly payment, and it will be it would be fine.
Okay.
And back to the credit cards, we've talked about it before too. I never have more than one card in my wallet. I don't carry my ATM card. Typically, I just carry the cash and leave my ATM at home because unless I'm going on a trip or something like that, then of course you probably want to bring your card. But just to go out to eat at night or something, I have 2 wallets. One that's got like my ATM, and the other one I just bring some cash if somebody, holds me up. I'm not too worried about it. But back on the license, I heard you mention earlier, that's a mistake I made. 2 mistakes. One, my ATM card expired a year later, and that was a hassle to get another one. I actually had to have a friend who was coming to the Philippines hand carry it. And the other one was my license expired. I was so focused on making sure my passport was renewed, so I got 10 years. I didn't even think about my credit card or my driver's license. So that's one thing I have to take care of when I go back to the.
So that's another thing. If you're, it's good that you said if your credit card or ATM is expiring the next year or so, call your bank or the bank and get it renewed. Say, hey, I'm going to be traveling. I'm be out of country. And that's another thing I did is I called the banks and tell them, hey, I'm going to be at the time I thought it was going to be a year. I told them I was going to be out of the country for a year. So they make a note of that. So when they see, because I actually had that when traveling to the Philippines before, where they locked my credit card because they thought it was getting scammed because suddenly I was in the Philippines and I didn't call the bank. So you need to call the bank, or some banks have it where you can just log in and you can just make a note that you'll be traveling for how long and all that. So that way they don't lock your credit card or your ATM.
Yeah, because that's a real pain. Get yourself a Google phone number that's free, but you can only sign up for it in the U.S. So
actually, I didn't have that on my point here, but that's a really good. Google phone number is really great to have because you have to have an American phone number to sign up with the Google phone. So that's great.
And then if you want to do this 2-step verification, like if you have a U.S. bank or Australia or wherever, you're going to need that phone number that. Not from the Philippines,
But now some banks, like my Schwab now, you have the option of signing up. The 2-step verification is an authenticator that's on your phone. So you don't have to have one of those texts sent to you. And that's more and more common on these. So, but some still have the text. So. Okay, so Chicano on the go says, no comment. I just wanted to see my membership scooter. Oh, my first member. Thank you for joining.
Hey, welcome aboard.
Let's see. Win says you can also unlink your Schwab accounts from the ATM. So if your card gets compromised at the ATM, nothing more than your checking is at risk. Yes. So I have, like, you have different accounts within Schwab. I have brokerage accounts, and then I have what they call like a checking individual account. So they can only withdraw from that. Filipinas. Hello, Mia. How are you?
Well, travel insurance might be compulsory because Thailand is requiring it now. Probably Vietnam has mentioned it. So I use it, and in my videos I have the link to it. But it might be mandatory. It might be a mandatory thing. We'll see.
With the Corona thing, I think more and more countries will probably look at it, and I know they have a commission now called that are looking at opening up the Philippines and how to open up. And I'm sure, besides, there's almost a 100% certainty that you're going to have a vaccine and a PCR test before you come in. And another point might be travel insurance. That for the stay you're here, you're probably going to have travel insurance. So,
by the way, the latest news: highly contagious new COVID variant detected in Vietnam. You see that?
No, I didn't see it. But there's always a new variant. But I was watching the news in the US, and it said that almost all the variants are actually not killed, but the vaccine works against all the variants. So far so good. But there's always going to be a new variant. It's basically this COVID-19 is going to mutate and mutate and mutate. It's going to be something with us the rest of our human history, just like the flu.
Probably.
What? Hello, Paul. Having traveled many countries around the world, there in the Philippines, do you need to take anti-worm medicine?
No, but my dog did one time. No, I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that either. Yeah. Malaria might be an issue, but not anti-worm. Go more hike. How's life treating you? Life is fantastic. Gio is here.
I'm here.
Hi, Paul. Do hospitals accept insurance, or should it be cash and claim after the event from my insurance? I think it goes both ways. That was Gio was saying. It kind of goes both ways, depending on the hospital, depending on a lot of things. But the most secure way is you have your credit card and you have your health insurance, and that way, if one doesn't pay, you can pay it, and then the health insurance can reimburse you. And that's why I always say you got to have $25,000 US dollars as a reserve, just in case something happens. Even with a credit card.
At least have a major credit card with a big limit on it, or a couple. Yeah. You know what I mean?
10K would be good.
Yeah.
I mean, 10K will go a long way here, even in the hospital. Will go.
Yeah, I mean, because they let you slowly pay, as you're.
Yeah. Mr. Steve Palm says maybe start with travel insurance for emergencies. Yes. Let's see. I had insurance. Mr. Ron says I have insurance that reimburses you, and they wanted $250,000 upfront to do a hip replacement. 250,000 pesos, I assume Mr. Ron is saying. So that's $5,000. Okay.
Right.
And so I'm just going to continue to some points here. I was mentioned that VPN is important over here, to get a good VPN. Now you can get that when you're here or sign up for it in the US, because number one is security. When you're out and about, you want to make especially these coffee Wi-Fi's and all that, log on to your VPN before doing anything of importance. I use NordVPN, but you use a different one that's also a really good one. I can't remember the name of it. What's the name of it, Gio?
I think yours is a better deal. Maybe I can't remember, but mine's ExpressVPN, which I'm pretty happy with, and I use it to be able to stream Amazon and Hulu and Netflix and log into a lot of American sites, and the same would apply to Australia or the UK.
ExpressVPN got really good reviews, and so did NordVPN. But those are two choices to consider. They both have advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
So let's see. Now, one thing that's also important is to do a lot of research before you come here on the different destinations you want to be, watch YouTube, Google. And I say like research 5 or 10 of them and then bring it down to 3 or 5 and then consider staying at each one for 2-3 months before making a decision if you want to settle down somewhere. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, I'm sorry. Repeat one more time.
I was saying doing a lot of research on, like, say, 5 to 10 different destinations in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
narrowing
sure.
it down to 3 to 5 and stay at each one for, 2-3 months before making a final decision where you want to settle down.
And I also, I mean, me personally, sometimes I don't even like to put a time constraint. Like I went to Davao.
Yeah.
In my head, I was thinking, oh, I'll stay here about a month or two. Ended up staying 6 months because I liked it. And then I got to Cagayan de Oro and I stayed for a couple months. Sometimes I don't even have a time frame. I just kind of like go and I'm like, hey, I'm enjoying it here also. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. My next point is about women. If you are planning to come here and stay here, I say don't even bother chat with girls online. Just leave it till you get here. What's your thoughts on that?
It's so entertaining. No,
but my point is like some people don't look at it as entertainment. They actually chat with a girl and they get kind of sucked in instead of waiting till you get here and see what the possibilities are and enjoying life as a single guy for a while before making a final decision. Kind of like the destination deal, Yeah.
No, I think it's okay to chat with them. If you have an exactly when you're coming, like you've already, let's say the Philippines was open and you already bought your plane ticket and you're arriving August 7th. At that point, then it's fine because you can actually make plans and you can be like, you can chat with the girl and say, hey, I'll be here on August 7th. And she can say, oh, okay, well, I have that, I have the 8th off. Let's meet for coffee. Yeah, I mean, so you could set up some meetings.
Yeah, that's true. But my point is don't make a final decision on a girl based on your chatting.
No.
So, yeah.
No, I agree. And don't let them meet you at the airport. They will control you from the very beginning. I mean, really, that's why they want to get you, lock you in, and make sure you don't go and meet anybody else and stay
because they know the competition here.
Oh, they do, yeah.
They know the competition here, so they want to lock you in as quickly as possible. So the other point, and I've seen this a lot here. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I would tell Filipinos the same thing. Don't chat with a bunch of guys that don't even have a date of when they're going to come out. I talked to this girl one time who said, oh, he says he doesn't have the money this year, but next year. And she's been chatting with him for a year and a half. I'm like, you're just wasting your time. You're wasting your time with this guy. He'll never come. Yeah. Anyway.
He might, and then he might be with a different girl.
Right.
So the other thing I have is get your health in order. And by that, I mean, I've seen a lot of people that come here, not a lot, but many that do come here seem to be, overweight. They haven't exercised. They haven't eaten healthy. And to me, that's really important when you're coming out here, because to really get the best out of the Philippines, I love nature. And if you want to go hiking, you want to go to waterfalls and all that, you have to be somewhat in shape and maybe starting exercising while you're there, starting eating healthy, get into that type of lifestyle would be a good thing to do also.
Sure.
The other point I have is have a plan for when you get here, what you're going to do to fill your days. Because I've also seen that where expats, they come here and they don't really have a plan and they're bored. So they end up going to bars and drinking or sitting at home playing Xbox or, or staying here 3-6 months and then, just being with a girl all the time, and not doing anything instead of going exploring there's so much wonderful things here in the Philippines that just sitting in the same place to me is like you're wasting a really great opportunity.
It's a problem when your priority is to make sure your Xbox is with you and all your games. That's the most important piece of your travel equipment.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, some people watch movies, some people, I mean, they're just inside all the time instead of enjoying this wonderful place. And of course, if you're overweight, the heat gets to you more because, fat is an insulator. So it feels even hotter than it is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and the last point I have here is be sure that this is what you want before selling everything at home. Don't sell your house and your belongings and come out here and you've never been here. So if you've never been here and you're thinking about moving, come out here for 6 months, a year before, and then go back home and then get rid of everything, because buying everything new can be expensive. So those were the points I had. Was there anything you'd like to add? I mean, I'll go ahead and read some comments and go ahead.
I don't know if every person can't maintain a place for 6 months or a year and come over here and live at the same time too. So unfortunately, not everybody can do that. But, I mean, we tell a lot of people, hey, come out here and try for, a few months, and some people with work and stuff. And we also tell people sometimes, hey, don't start chatting girls, just meet them in person. But for some people that does work, because if they've only got a 3-week vacation or something, and we also tell people don't bring girls back to the West. But again, if somebody's in their 40s and they're still working for another 20 years, some people don't have other options. Sure. You just have to be more careful. But I started to slowly get rid of stuff. Like I had come out to Thailand, I had come out to the Philippines. Granted, I was only here a month, but I was pretty sure I was kind of a traveler, and I kind of knew that I could set up shop anywhere and pretty much be happy. And I just slowly started offloading stuff, and till I
that's what my friend Glenn is doing. He's planning to come here in September if it's open, and he's been selling all his stuff, but he's keeping his house. He's going to rent it out and decide what to do later. So if you own a house, I mean, I was thinking people who own a house don't sell it unless you're sure.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wandering Dog says, hey all, just back from my 2 weeks Aruba vacation, then a 14-day strict quarantine in Korea. Wow.
Nice, Aruba.
How do we know you're in the Philippines? I hear no roosters.
I'll find a rooster sound and play it.
If you ever did go back to the US and work and you want people to believe you're in the Philippines, you'd have to have like rooster sounds.
I'd have to pipe in rooster sounds and karaoke, bad karaoke.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the information concerning Chase again. You're welcome. Albert says hello to Gio.
Hello, Albert.
Chicano on the Go says, I'm an environmentalist and was really excited to see these scooters and bicycles for the membership stickers because those are my mode of transport. Okay. Yeah, the reason I did that was because, I like motorbikes. So
mine are dinosaurs.
Yours are dinosaurs?
Yeah, it goes from like an egg to a baby one to you grow into a T-Rex the longer you're a member. If you're a long-term member, you become a T-Rex.
That's great. We know you hate roosters, Mr. Ron. I think you mention it on every livecast.
But they do taste like chicken.
Says good morning, Mia. Hi. What's your typical diet like? They say eating options aren't so good as far as health compared to Thailand. That's kind of what I've heard. I haven't been to Thailand. I know Gio has, but there are options here. I mean, if you like cooking at home, I mean, the options are endless. I mean, you can order stuff on Lazada and Shopee, different spices if they don't have it in the shop. So everything can be ordered online, just about. They have different meats here. They have vegetables. So I don't know why there would be an issue making the food you want. Now, here in Cebu City, Lapu-Lapu, there's a lot of options when it comes to restaurants. Yeah. Yesterday, I was in Italian, I've been to Korean. There's Middle Eastern. There's just Indian food. There's Japanese. There's all kinds of foods here.
Yeah.
So you have those options here. Now, the one thing that is lacking that I see very little of, if I've ever seen it here, is like a vegetarian restaurant. And I know some people are
I'll look
vegetarians,
that
but
up.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
Hmm.
Maybe there is, but I haven't seen it.
I'd have to look it up and see because I haven't, excuse me, really
You haven't
noticed that
noticed
either.
one either?
No.
So there you go. Go More Hike says, hey. Mr. Steel Palm says, many expats start with PhilHealth or Pacific Cross. And then it takes Anthem Blue Cross or Blue Shields a week to approve anything if you're lucky. Could be longer. Okay.
Yeah.
The answer to that, Go More Hike, is yes. Let's see.
By the way, while we're talking, I Googled vegetarian restaurants. There's one 8 miles away, one 7 miles away, and one 5 miles away. One at Park Mall, actually, believe it or not, in Mandawi.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But
And
in general, in the Philippines, there's not many
No.
vegetarian. I mean, Cebu City is one thing, but
Cebu, but you're not going to find it in like other places. Yeah, typically.
I think Dumaguete might have one. If I think I've heard of one in Dumaguete. Remember, it's not the U.S. or Norway. People die if they can't pay for our service in the Philippines. Yes, it does not make sense to us Westerners. Yeah.
Happens all the time. People dying in the provinces, things that are easily curable or treated, and they just don't have money, and they just
even people who are in accidents and an easy leg injury to fix, if you don't have the money, they seem to just chop
don't
off
have the money, or they can't even get to the hospital quick enough. If you're way out in the province, a little clinic in their province town isn't going to help.
Yeah.
I mean,
we talked about how important it is for expats to have, especially older expats with health issues, have quick access to a good hospital.
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. Ron says they wouldn't have kept me for 30 days and I had to pay just to get out. They would not take my insurance from a major U.S. insurance company. Oh, wow. So you had to pay cash or credit card, I'm assuming, Mr. Ron, before they let you out? Yeah, it's like a prison here, right? In the hospitals, if you can't pay, they just keep you.
They will. And then your bill just keeps accumulating.
Yeah. I mean, sooner or later, they have to let you out, right? 10 years later.
Oh, you're a dead carcass.
Omar said, tell me about travel insurance. Is it easy to apply? I'm sure it's easy to apply.
I can drop a link if it's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Drop the link.
Right. What I use. And it covers COVID. So if you're going to Thailand or something, but.
Let's see, 30 days, my lord. Mr. Ron says, Medicare will not pay outside the U.S. I had both of it and private insurance. Okay. How hard is it to get a bank account in the Philippines? Well, it's hard. In the beginning, I tried to sign up. They wouldn't sign me up. They told me I had to be here for a year and had to have an ACR card. And then when I got the ACR card, I tried to sign up again, but I only had like the tourist visa. So it was going out in like 2 months. And then the bank said no. And then at that point, I said, what do I need a Filipino bank for? I've got my US bank. I can withdraw cash. I don't really need a Filipino bank. And so it's just such a hassle that I couldn't be bothered. Yeah. What's your experience, Jim?
Well, I had one because I was working here and they set it up in my bank and my pay would direct deposit into it. But after that, I maintained it. And then I was like, my bank refunds the ATM fees. So why do I need it? I really don't. I would just do what you say and have a backup, like two banks. If something happens with one, you could at least transfer back and forth. I like TransferWise for that too, but you don't need a
Mr. Steele says mail forwarding service. Yeah, that's one of the points I forgot to mention. I was going to mention that and I forgot that. Yeah, so I use US Global, and I've had really great. And there's a link to that below. After the livecast, there will be a link to that, and they have great service. They scan everything for you, and if it's a check, you just hit deposit. You set up your bank account and all that, and you click deposit, and it sends it to them and all that. Of course, it costs money to scan. It costs money to send a mail, but it's reduced compared to normal rates. Also, one thing is there's a website called blinkhealth.com or .org, which is really great to order medications, and you can send it to your forwarding and then send it to the US. I mean, send it to the Philippines. And they do like, what do you call it? Like online prescription, so you just answer some questions, and then if it's okay, they give you a prescription without having to go to a US doctor. Will the bank send a new card to another country? I don't know. Mine sends it to my forwarding address, and I forward it to myself.
Mine did. Mine sent it here.
How did they send it? Did they send it
FedEx? No charge.
FedEx, really?
Yeah, that was USAA. So you'll have, again, each bank might be different. So
yeah, I might find out with Chase what they do, and because I saw on my US Global they've actually sent me a credit card, so I might ask them to reissue that and send it to me here instead of me having to pay for the cost of sending it to the Philippines.
Sure.
Maybe you can answer that. I don't know.
I see the S here. Oh, I do see it. I see it.
You see it?
Yeah, I see it. Just not on the StreamYard, but I see it on the YouTube chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm on StreamYard, so I can't see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Go more. I have a Google phone number, and I have it set to convert text I receive to email, so I don't even have to have the Google Voice app installed. Oh, wow.
Perfect. Yeah.
I haven't done that. That's a good idea, actually. Thanks for that, Go More Hike. Yeah, I really like the Google number because I also have a Skype number for the US, like a Houston number. And I've had that for many years, and some texts will go through on it and some others won't. So, but the Google Voice always goes through. So that's the one to have, really. And it's free versus the Skype number. You have to pay for it. So Traveler 444 says, thank you for the contribution, by the way. I appreciate the realistic budgets you both put out on your channels. I'm going to Mexico first, then to the Philippines or Thailand. Which would you suggest? Well, I've only been to the Philippines and I love it here, so I would suggest coming to the Philippines, but I know Gio has been to Thailand, and from what I've heard from other people say, they love Thailand as well. So I don't think you can go wrong with either. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You could visit both.
What's the way things are working out, it may be Thailand maybe you're only Thailand first, yeah.
Yeah, because they are saying now that they're still planning to open July 1 on, I always pronounce this wrong.
Phuket. Yeah.
Phuket. So, and thank you for the contribution, Traveler 444. Wandering Dog says, all of this excellent advice if you're living overseas. Thank you. And Norcam says, on many things, BCBS insurance is very good. I have it, and Medicare. Have you heard of that insurance, Gio?
I haven't,
no. Wondering, does I've been in Korea the last 2 years, even though somewhat sheltered under U.S. military. Okay. Also, Google Voice will convert any voicemails to email and send it to my text summary.
I like that. So you have to be in the U.S. to set up the Google phone number, but could you do it with a VPN from here or no?
I think you have to have a U.S. number and they send you a text, if I remember correctly, because you have to be on your phone and then they send you a text. That's the way I remember it.
Gotcha.
But maybe there is a way. I don't know. I mean, maybe if you have a Skype number and then you can get a Google number or something like that. I mean, I haven't played around with it that way. So I had already set it up in the US. So
Yeah. Gotcha.
but I mean, you could try, I guess, if you're here already and want a Google number.
Sure.
Check out US Global Virtual Mailbox. Yeah, that's the one I use. That's a great service.
That's a good one. Okay.
Google phone number is the reason I can run my rentals and real estate stuff effortlessly. Yeah, people can call you, people can text you, and so on. But I don't know if they want them calling with 12-hour difference between here and the US. William Clark says, before I go to bed, changing the subject slightly, are the apartment deals still on, and when do you think they will increase? Yes, the deals are here. You have to just negotiate it. And when they will increase is when things open up. It will increase slowly. I mean, because more than likely it'll be a soft opening. So they'll start filling up slowly. And then they will increase. So the sooner you get here, probably the better deal you can get. Any thoughts on that, Gio?
I think that they're just going to play it by ear. I think that they will just continue to have low deals, but as soon as they think things are going to open, I think the prices are going to go up. It's just going to happen. But right now, I mean, we're sitting at 30% occupancy here, so
yeah. But I've noticed it's filling up here too now. Have you noticed that? It seems to be more people, seems to be more traffic.
I think it's all domestic, and remember, they also do rent this out for Airbnb. So the weekends, but Airbnb, domestic, yeah.
Yeah. Chicane on the go. First member, I feel like I should get a certificate or something. Yeah, sure, I'll send you one.
Yeah, so print one out for them, Paul.
Yeah. Why every man has a story keeps talking crap about Geo? I don't know. People talk crap all the time.
I think that's garbage. I don't really believe that. Yeah. He left that comment some other time.
Foshi said we might have to get booster shots every year. Probably, just like the flu shots, I guess. Guys, I'm going to go on for about 15 more minutes, and I'm going to call it quits. Yeah, I had to deworm my dog too, but not me. Okay. Wandering dogs, if you guys are looking handsome, I guess the stress of an entitled, argumentative Western woman is no longer present. Yeah, that's gone forever.
That adds years onto your life.
Didn't Bobby deworm her husband?
Yeah,
I think she did. I wonder if she ever found another boyfriend. That's one girl I never date.
Yeah.
Road to the Philippines, thank you for the contribution. And he says, hello, Paul and Gio. I finally caught you guys on live stream. Please contact President Duterte about letting me in. I'd appreciate it. Here's some gas money for the trip. Yeah.
On our way.
Thank you for that. We'll call him right away after the show. Are health clinics very expensive? Do they give you the foreigner charge? No, they are not expensive here. In my experience, what is expensive here is actually medication. But going into the doctors is typically 300 to 500 pesos, $6 to $10. I had, let's see, it was 2018. I had a CT scan done on my knee, and I went to see a doctor, consultation and all that. And he was an expert in the area. And I think I totally paid maybe $30 or $40. So it's relatively inexpensive. And maybe Gio would want to comment on that. But it's, to me, what I've experienced, the hospitals and the healthcare is inexpensive except for the medication.
Yeah, they're typically not expensive, but again, every clinic differs. There's just the one thing that's frustrating for a lot of people is nothing is uniform. You go into one bank branch, you go to the exact same bank, BDO, their requirement is different oh no, you only have to be here 6 months to open a bank account. And this one says 1 year. It's frustrating, but you just have to accept it. So
it's part of the Philippines. Corvette says having clothes with a zipper compartment to help ensure not being pickpocketed. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I have one of these bags that you put across your shoulder, and that's been very, very handy. They're cheap. You can buy them here for like, I think I paid $6 or $8 for mine. So it's relatively inexpensive to get one of those, and that's really nice because you can put your wallet, you can put your phone. I put my face shield in there, and you can put quite a few things in there, and then it's
right.
easy to carry around. Geo, ExpressVPN is a Chinese company. You're being spied on. I didn't know that.
Well, if that's the case, I will switch to Nordum.
What's NordVPN? Is that Nordic?
Yeah. Or what's the one you have? You said Nord, right? Nord.
Nord, Nord VPN.
Oh, Nord. Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought Nord.
Maybe my pronunciation. Will the VPNs we have here in the States work there? Well, it depends on your VPN. I think most VPNs are international, I assume. Basically, when you log into a VPN, you're logging into a server in the US. So you get a US IP address. That's how, then if you log into a website, it sees your IP address as in the US. So it kind of conceals your IP address here in the Philippines.
Right. And like big ones like Express and Nor, I think, have servers in Australia and the UK and all of that. So, well, I guess, I don't know. No, I can't click on comments. So, yeah, I use it. I mainly use it just because there's a couple of websites that I need to log into that I can't if I don't have the VPN. And then also I get to watch Hulu, Amazon, and American Netflix, because the Philippines Netflix has actually different shows. So sometimes I'll actually turn off my VPN, log into Netflix, and see different shows that are on the Philippines Netflix. And then I log into the VPN, log back into Netflix, and there's different shows. So
this is what I was talking about, this thing here. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, you just go across like this, and that way you have it here, and you have your stuff here. It's really handy when you're traveling.
I think what they're talking about, though, is something like PackSafe or Locktote, which are the anti-slash, and those are great. Great.
Those are also great. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
See. Go Morgan says LDRs are a waste of time. Maybe not. Did you get the VPN through an app, or is it a download software from a PC? No, I mean, you have it like NordVPN, the one I use. You have an app on your phone, and you can log. It's got an extension on the browser, and I also got it on my TV. So I downloaded it to my Android TV, and I log into that before I log into Netflix. So you have apps, you have website extensions, and so you can use it on just about anything. And that's the difference between a good one and a bad one. They have good apps versus horrible apps. So Nukam says, wondering, Doc, yes, the COVID-19 messed up a lot of plans. Yeah, talk about messing up a lot of lives. Is it recommended for younger guys around 30 years to get a Filipino wife and bring her back to the West asking for a friend? I mean, I think Filipinas are wonderful girls. To me, my experience in the US versus my experience here, that they're better women, more traditional than your typical average American woman. And they're more appreciative. So I would say yes, but I would say you have to be careful, because online there are a lot of girls looking to come to the US. They're looking for a green card. So they'll say whatever they want to say. The best thing is to, if you have that possibility, is maybe take 6 months, a year off, and then come here, because marriage is a very important decision. You know, it's a life-altering decision. If it goes wrong, it's life-altering. So, you know, find somebody who come here and find somebody. That if that's not possible, chat with many different girls and look out for red flags. And maybe Gio has some advice there.
Well, if he's a 30-year-old guy, he probably won't have the luxury of taking 6 months to come over here. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, if you're 30, you're probably working. You're probably lucky to get a month off a year. So you just make several trips out here, I would say, and do video chats and try to get to know her friends and her family as well. You know, try to get to know everybody. And but you certainly have a greater chance of success than if you're 60 and she's 20, you know, versus if you're 30 and she's in her 20s and you guys are closer in age, you know.
I do have a video on red flags here. So if you look that up, I talk about things you got to watch out for. And it's important to be aware of that. And the book I do recommend is by Richard Cooper, something, The Alpha Male. So just be aware of the red flags, you know, because sometimes we as men oversee the obvious because of what we want. Wandering Duck says, if I ever go to the Philippines, I won't happy until I have 3 kids and 3 STDs. Okay. Scott says, thanks for the good advice. You can actually Google earthquake and typhoon maps for the Philippines, and you will show you the exact areas most and least prone to them. Okay. Nuakim said, it's smart not to get a wife, period. When they meet you at the airport, that's called land and grab.
I like that. That should be the title of a future video.
Dave Johnson says, Mark Sheen had a heart attack because he was unfit. Yeah, there's a lot of that happening. Marriage is a piece of paper from Nuakim. All you can do is lose if things go south. I was stupid and got married twice. I got hit hard by the second one. Yep. Guys, if you are thinking of getting married, remember prenup and postnups. I've talked about that in another video, so I won't talk about it anymore. But think about that before getting married, especially if there's a big difference in assets and income potential. Mr. Ron, single, what is that? I was married for 40 years, and he picked me up at the airport 2.5 years ago. If she wouldn't have been there, I would have just used my return ticket. She's the only reason I came.
And I'm glad it worked out for Ron, but I still wouldn't advise what Ron is saying there.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm glad it worked out.
He's one of the lucky ones, right?
Right.
So, Chicano on the Go says, well, if someone says that they can't go to the Philippines this year or next year, it's kind of true now that we're in COVID. Yeah, but we're talking before the pre-pandemic,
right?
You know, Martin Sheen was like Charlie. He was probably coked up and had a heart attack. Better to keep your house at home and live off the rent from it if possible.
Yeah.
Maybe not. There are other ways of making money that are more less of a headache. Let me put it that way. I've talked about REITs before, and there are other ways of bringing in income that is probably
but at least you have a place
might
to go
be better
back
than
to.
having a house. But it's a good idea to rent it out for the first 1 or 2 years till you're sure this is what you want. Yeah.
Sure.
90 days burnout. Some guys just can't adjust to the Philippines. Yeah, that's so true. Because some guys, they come here and they want everything to be like the West instead of having like an acceptance. This is the way it is. Just accept it. Don't get pissed off at everything.
We know somebody like that.
We know a guy like that, and he gets pissed off at everything and goes into this negative mode and blah, 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 this and blah, blah. It's like, dude, just enjoy the life here. Enjoy the view. Enjoy the things that you can always look at a glass half full or half empty, okay? And if you focus on the half empty all the time, you're going to have a miserable life. Focus on the good. Just wondering, will you tell your GF about your insurance privacy? If no, what if something going to happen and they will take you to the hospital and they don't nothing?
I
If
think
I would
she's
tell
saying
my girlfriend about insurance, of course, why not?
Yeah, I think I think she's saying you probably want to tell her so if
Yeah.
something happens, yeah.
Yeah, you want to tell them. Oops,
Either
I lost
that,
my place.
if she's the beneficiary, maybe she pushes you down the stairs or something. I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about, I was thinking
I
health
don't know.
insurance.
I think it was health, but if it's life, maybe she'll push you down the stairs, push you overboard.
Say, sorry guys, I'm behind here. I lost my place here, but I'm just gonna find the next one. Okay, guys, 10 more minutes and I'm done. Any news about Green Lane? And if the PI opens, we'll be able to use our passports again. Yeah, the Green Lane is ongoing. They have a committee looking at it, and I don't know.
I just did a video on it.
Yeah, Gio just did a video on it. Maybe you can drop a link, Gio, so people can watch that.
Oh, sure.
Paul, does Philippines pollution enough for you to move from an area? I think you mentioned Dumaguete was bad. Yes, I did move from Dumaguete, and that wasn't the only reason. I mean, I wanted to explore. I came here to explore, and I've been stuck in Duma for over a year now because of the pandemic, and I want to find something new, But pollution is definitely an important thing for me. Health is very important for me. So I got to be a place where there's not too much pollution. And Dumaguete was bad. Now, if you're up in Valencia, on the other hand, the air is fresh there. It's really nice. So, which is only 15 minutes from Dumaguete. The problem is if you're in Valencia, you still have to keep going down to Dumaguete to do shopping, to go to the gym and so on, as they don't have like a supermarket in Valencia, not yet anyway, and not a gym. But I think if they got a supermarket and a gym, Valencia would be a perfect place to live. Oh, thank you to Bonsai Treehouse. He's a new member. Thank you so much for that. Paul, does Philippines... Oh, I read that already. Plan to update immunization for the Philippines. Yes, that is a good point there. I didn't do that. And to be honest, I've moved around so much in my life. I don't know what I've been immunized against and not. So that's a good point right there. I didn't think about that. I want to write that down actually, because I'm thinking of making a video about this.
And make sure you've been dewormed.
Yeah. They won't let you in if you haven't been dewormed. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
It has a story.
Yeah. Well, MedTech was just saying he's never heard him say anything. So.
Oh, I didn't read the comment.
No, that's fine.
I really don't care what other vloggers say about myself, and I'm sure Gio's the same. If they're so hung up on me or hung up on Gio or something, they need to get a freaking life. I don't get hung up on other vloggers, so I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you don't really watch other YouTube channels. I don't. I'm just too busy, and I don't really want to. I want to come up with my own ideas and stuff. I don't really want to watch anybody else because I don't want to
copy what they're doing.
Copy, yeah, exactly.
Chicano on the Go says Google Phone doesn't work with some services such as money transfers. I tried to use it to sign up in TransferWise, but they did not accept it.
Really?
I don't know. I haven't experienced that. Okay, they're talking about Mark again. Do you need a prescription for medicines? Yes, you do.
However, there are these small little mom and pop pharmacies in the Philippines that you can go into and without a prescription.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. There was two of them in Valencia that I would go to. I would say, okay, I need this antibiotic or whatever.
And they just give it to you?
Yeah, here too. There's plenty.
I didn't know that. I did go in prescription for one, like, how it says one of the certain thing, right? There's one X. And I asked if I could have two, and she said, sure, you can have two. She just gave me two.
Have as many as you want. As long as you have pesos.
Yeah. Sunrise says my favorite red pill channel. I'm actually thinking of starting a channel dedicated to that. So
You should.
it's garbage. He and I are friends and have been on each other's channel. True. 2 years ago, they passed the anti-deposit law, RA 834. If you have money or no money, they will accept you, or you can file a case against them.
Or the hospital or something.
I don't know what that means. 2
I
years
think
ago,
she's talking about the hospital.
So if they don't do something,
Like,
you can file a lawsuit against them. So they have to operate.
Sounds like it.
Okay. Well, maybe Jenny can clarify what that means. And Mr. Stevens says, I have security travel bags with cables and locks. Okay, guys, I'm wrapping it up in 2 minutes. I'm going to just go through see here.
Yeah, good.
Pack
Safe, Lock Tote are both good ones.
What is your opinion on lock treatment and minimum prices? David is asking about the prices here on condos. If they'll continue to drop, everything's negotiable here. And right now they're pretty much empty. So yes, I think if you're a good negotiator and you negotiate with several different people, I think you can get a great price. Amazon Fire Stick, yes, I have one of those. I know Gio really likes the Roku. So Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, you also have Google Chrome that you can hook up via USB. So they're all good. I like them all. Barwin says, real estate prices in the Philippines have not been dropping. That's what I don't get. I check Lamodi all the time and they're still the same prices in 2019. Yes, it's just like you go to Airbnb. Like I looked at condos here in Airbnb and the prices were like just as they were before. But then you look and it's all empty. So what you got to do is contact the owner directly and say, if they're asking 40,000 pesos a month, tell them, I'll pay you 20,000, take it or leave it. And a lot of them will take it because they're desperate now. And same with I almost bought a house in Valencia because it was such a good deal. Not Valencia, in close to Valencia. And I was looking at this one house, and they initially started at 6 million pesos. I offered them 2.5, and they came down to 3.5. And I said, no, I'm going to give you 2.5. Take it or leave it. 2.5 million pesos is $50,000. So, it's all about negotiation here. Here they have this mindset that they're not going to lower their price no matter what. But once you start negotiating with them, that's a different deal there. McTech says, LDRs are not a waste of time. Should I dump my GF just because we're separated? Absurd.
No. Well, I think what I'm saying is, for me personally, is if you've never met each other yet, that's what I'm talking about. If you've already met and you're in a long distance, no, that absolutely, that's different. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, so I am going through the last comments here. Yeah, Go More Hike says, I'm a fan of the book too, The Unplugged Alpha. It's actually a bestseller now. So since I started recommending it. Joke. Go More says he got the land and grab from Filipina P. So she doesn't agree to the post-nup stuff. Your prenup is in jeopardy. No, it's not. But the post-nup secures the prenup. But if she doesn't want to sign a post-nup after the fact, then I suggest you say bye-bye. That would be me. If you agree to something and then afterwards won't sign it again, that's a big red flag. That's time to say adios. Adios, amigas. Don't marry unless prenup and the lady pays you 5 million USD upfront. Okay. Where is that lady?
I'm not kidding. Jeez.
I've heard about brownouts in the provinces. Does mobile phone services has the same issues? I've never had a brownout on my mobile phone, but I've had it where it slows down to a crawl, because there's so many people on there. Okay, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up now and say thank you for joining. Thank you to Gio for joining, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care and bye-bye.